God has invested a lot in this younger generation that is coming up. I think there's great purpose, there's great destiny upon them. I think they have great giftings and callings inside of them. And that is a work of God. It is a work of God because of the generation that they are. I think that because a person has giftings and callings, David, we see how that God anointed Samuel the prophet and said, go to Jesse's house. There's one waiting to be the king. And so he went there and he anointed him as a prophet of God and called of God. He anointed David to be the next king. And so David was called, appointed, and equipped to be the next king. But he didn't come in to being a king. There was mentoring in his life. And the mentoring in his life was, yes, his own intimacy with God. He knew God. And he talked to God. And God told him and taught him things. But his mentoring was under King Saul, the king that was anointed to be king. But yet, closely into his being the king, God said, I've taken the kingdom away. But he still was the king. He still was the one that was anointed. And David served him. The purpose in serving one and serving one that God has called them to, so that their calling can be developed. Their calling can be, they can learn and be mentored in God. I think there's a cry of this generation to say we want to be mentored, but God has provided mentorship. Brother Hagin told us, how many ask him for years, what is God doing? This is what God is doing. He is raising up strong local churches that know how to move with the Word and the Spirit of God. Well, I see this generation not plugged in to any local church because they have these great callings. Well, who's your pastor? Would be my question to you. Who's your pastor? Who has God called you to, so that in serving this gifting that you have, this calling that you have, this desire to serve God, it has to be. God doesn't put you in your own, he said, that's what he said, until you've served another. You've helped another man. And I see this generation wandering around, looking to see. But there are those that would want to mentor them. There's always one God has called you to. There's always one who has gone before you. And you can see that pattern all the way through the scriptures, from beginning to end. There's always one who has gone before you. Even after Mary was chosen, and she was chosen to conceive the seed of the Word of God into her, there was one who had gone before her, Elizabeth. And where did she go? She went to Elizabeth. She went and made a connection with Elizabeth. That was a spiritual connection she made there. And yes, they were family, but she went and made a connection. And that was necessary. So there are those connections God connects everybody with. And that's what I would say to this young generation. Who are you called to? And who has God called you to serve?
That's good.
And there is someone. And who are you serving?